Republican presidential hopefuls are preparing to take the stage for the second time at the GOP debate tonight in California.
Yeah, the Republican National Committee says 7 candidates qualified for the event. Former President Donald Trump is skipping the debate and will give a speech in Michigan instead. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson failed to qualify after appearing in the first debate in Milwaukee, you may remember.
A CBS News poll finds 48% of likely Republican primary voters in Iowa are considering Trump and other candidates. In New Hampshire, that number is 43%. Former Colorado Republican Senator Cory Gardner joins us now. He is also the co-chair of the pro-Tim Scott Trust in the Mission PAC. Good to have you with us. So tell us, what is Senator Scott's strategy heading into this debate? How is he expecting to distinguish himself from the other competitors?
I think he'll distinguish himself in his message and his ideas to move this country forward. There is no one on that stage who can make America feel better about itself, feel more strength and empowerment, more faith, more opportunity than Tim Scott. And so you'll see him talking about the ideas that he's rolled out the last several weeks, talking about his 10 million jobs idea, talking about his plan to restore parental rights, talking about his ideas to get America back to work and just let America work, get government out of the way. And so Tim is going to just draw a contrast with the other candidates on the stage. He's going to show optimism. He's going to be the adult in the room. He's not going to get into childish finger pointing and screaming like we saw at the last debate. I think this is a real opportunity for Tim Scott to show the American people how he can lead at home, lead abroad, and restore the greatness that we know this country to be.
But Senator, your candidate is really up against it, especially when you consider that former President Trump is skipping the debate once again, despite his massive lead in the polls, and I would say almost an emotional following among his supporters. What chance does Senator Scott have at competing with that, or really any other Republican, considering President Trump doesn't even feel like he needs to be there?
Yeah, look, I think the answer lies in the early states where you see the poll that you just showed, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. You see the early states where these candidates have all had a chance to get into them, to share their message. And you can see in these states, they are beginning to move. They're starting to rise. Their numbers are growing. I hope that Tim Scott's continues to rise, continues to grow, and that he will be the one that eventually supplants Donald Trump. The election is not tomorrow. It's in January. We've got a lot of work to do in a little bit of time. But the fact is, there are still more than 50%, even in that polling, show they're willing to vote against or not support Donald Trump. We just have to make sure we consolidate them around Tim Scott and that he's the one who gets to be on the ballot to defeat Joe Biden in 2024, in November of 24, because I believe he is the only one on that stage who can beat Joe Biden.
I want to follow up with you on that point because you say that you have a lot of work to do in a little bit of time. CBS News polling finds the former president is far ahead in Iowa and New Hampshire, but that there's still room for a challenge if GOP voters could converge on an alternative candidate. At what point do all the other candidates need to start to decide whether or not they want to do that? At what point does your candidate and others need to decide? Do they want to support the former president, or do they want to support each other, or get them all to support Tim Scott in that case?
Yeah, look, I think just like in a rugby scrum, you're going to have everybody kind of centered around the middle, and then eventually you have people break out. And that's not going to be something that happens between now and this afternoon. Maybe it happens tonight. I hope it happens for Tim tonight. But the bottom line is there are still several months for messages to get out. And Tim's message of opportunity, that's why we call it the Trust in the Mission PAC. Because we trust in the ideas, the policies that Tim Scott has shown this country through his leadership. No one has done more in the leadership of government to help lift people up and out of poverty, to reform tax codes to allow people to keep more of their own dollars in their own pockets than Tim Scott. That leadership will show tonight, and I think that's how you break out of that scrum, and you do that over the next several weeks, over the next several months, and eventually in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, people start breaking toward Tim Scott, the candidate who I believe will ultimately win.
Well, we will be watching. Great to have you with us, former Senator Cory Gardner. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And Ed O'Keefe will anchor a special America Decides live from Simi Valley. Join us for an hour-long preview at 5 p.m. Eastern. Among the guests will be California Governor Gavin Newsom. We'll also have a post-debate breakdown show at 11 p.m. Eastern right here on CBS News.